I'd like to call the Natural Resource Board to order, and would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May we have the roll call, please?
Ms. Ring?
Here.
Mr. Gordian? Not present?
She has asked for an excuse.
No, that's Gil.
Mr. Gordon.
Gordian.
All right, Mr. Gordon, I'd like to address his absence as being not excused, and I believe this is the second meeting in a row he's had a non-excused absence. Could we note that this is his second one? Okay.
Ms. Glazier? Here. Mr. Clifton?
Here.
Ms. Lucer? Here. Ms. Tunker? Not present? She's excused.
Excused.
Yes. Mr. Progluski? He's excused.
I believe his is excused.
His
He
is
called
excused.
in, right? So I called in.
Bob did call in for an excused absence.
Okay.
He did.
Mr. Kroll?
Here.
Mr. Waragoda?
Yes.
Thank you.
And since we have two absences, both our alternates will be voting tonight. I would like to have some agenda modifications. I need a second. May I have a second for agenda modifications?
Second.
Second.
Okay, Dick is second. For the unfinished business, I would like to have items A through E removed on number 7. They were addressed last board meeting. Does anybody have any other questions or want?
Well, excuse me, I think we should leave E on because Jim has an update on that.
E on?
Mm-hmm. The Spoil Island update.
Okay, then
think we
we
should
can
leave
amend
that on there.
it, A through D. A through D removed. Is that okay with everybody? Do we need to vote on that? We can just vote, right? All in favor?
Yes, you can. The reason why we left some of these items are they're kind of like ongoing items. Good example is like Earth Day. If we take it off now, it's going to come back because as you move forward with Earth Day, you're going to have activities, and that's why we kind of left it on, kind of like the oyster bag project too. But if your intention is to take them off at this time and bring them back on, I'm okay with that. The reason why we left them on there is because some of these are just ongoing assignments.
Do you want to leave the Earth Day back on?
Sure. Yeah, I think we do have a lot of discussions. It is
Okay, it's
ongoing, for
ongoing. Just A, B, and C then.
sure.
We'll skip A, B, and C.
Sounds good here.
Okay, sounds good. All in favor? Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Okay. All right. We will go on to approval of our minutes. Does anybody have any questions or?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Madam, I have a, under item 6E, it is recorded as the vote was motion carried by 7-0, but there were 8 members present at the last meeting. So I think it should be corrected, and I also voted in favor, and my name is not there as yes. It should be included.
Chair, can I highlight? I believe what happened was, the alternates they're not, voting members until such time like tonight when there's a vacancy. And that's the reason why I believe that's why there was only 7. Only the active members were,
Right.
are voting. That's just my interpretation, you know.
Yes. We only had one board member, missing last board meeting, and Dick was the voting member for
I
that
see.
board member.
So that means, though there are 2 alternate members,
Right.
only one alternate member's vote is taken into account.
If there's one member missing. Tonight, there are 2 members missing, so both
Oh, I
alternates
see.
will be
Okay,
voting.
I got it.
Okay?
So the meeting minutes are correct as it's shown.
Yes.
Need a second.
We need a second. Jim?
I'll second it.
Rose, second? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Minutes are approved. And we are going to unofficial business, and we will start with D with his Earth Day. So is there any, Rose, would you like to present us on Earth Day?
Earth Day, I have my email list ready to go. I have emailed Barbara for updates on our registration and save the date and our little brochure saying needing vendors. And I haven't had any response, so I came in and I gave Margarita forms with the corrections made on them. And so I guess they are in the right hands now, and I'm waiting for an email back for the update. And as soon as I have it, I will shoot it out to the vendors. So I'm having her change the date to April 22nd, 2017. The time, we backed it up to 9 o'clock to 4 o'clock instead of 8:30 in the morning. And I had her change the date for the registrations to be in. Last year we had January 5th, and it was just a whole lot of confusion for everyone. They thought in February, March, April they couldn't join because they read that as being final. So I backed it up to the middle of March because I accepted people up to the week of the event, and I changed paperwork and got it done. But I don't know if that was the wise way of doing it, but I did back it up to the middle of March, so we still have 4.5 weeks to get the brochure and stuff together with the proper names on it. So as soon as I get it back from Barbara, I will shoot it out to vendors.
Okay.
I do have a question. You're doing the vendors. What about the entertainment? Are they on the same list?
I do them separately, and I have already talked to a couple of them. So
Okay.
I have 2 out of 4 already approved.
Good.
Time's kind of open yet.
All right. Any other Earth Day?
I did get a contact from Hometown News where last year I had trouble because I was emailing the general email that is in the website, and gentleman was in the stand last week, so I got his card, and as soon as I have anything ready, like to save the date what the vendors needed and stuff, he's willing to do whatever he can ahead of time for us to publicize it better for us. And when the event is there, like the week before, he will put a full page of our schedule in it. This last year, he was trying to email me, and I was like in the cooler trying to get it back to him, and he said, too late. It was like a matter of minutes. So.
Okay. Thank you. All right. We can move on to E, the Spoil Island update.
Okay, all we're waiting for is an authorization from DEP to go out and cut those 2 trees. I was told that they would just send me an email, I'm assuming Frank would be copied on it, but I haven't received anything yet. Have you received anything from Barch and Rogers?
No, I haven't. Is the contact, that's the contact person from DEP?
I'm sorry?
You said that's the contact person?
That's a contact person.
I have not.
Okay. So, yeah, I'm was given indications that it should be forthcoming very, very soon, so.
Oh, okay. I
We
thought,
don't have a boat at the moment, since Vicky's away, so once I get the authorization, I might throw a chainsaw in the canoe and paddle out and get the job done, just to get it over with. But at this point in time, we're still waiting for the authorization from the state.
okay. All right. And they will contact you, Frank, for the authorization?
If you gave him my email address, I haven't seen anything, but yeah, once I get it, I'll let everybody know and let them know that we have confirmation.
Okay. The next one is our missions and goals, and I feel that we need a calendar of some sort so that things like our Earth Day, like our parade that got canceled in Christmas because we can't find our banner. Have we ever found our banner?
A good question. Again, I apologize. I went looking through our the office that we had, the original. We found a small banner, but it was an older one. We have not found and I recall the banner now. Barbara made the banner, I remember, and it's still at, I think, Total Prints that we originally went and did it, but we could not find the original banner. I talked to Michelle after we searched our compound, we searched the offices, we searched everywhere. We couldn't find it. Michelle thinks that maybe one of the other chairpersons could have picked it up. In addition to that banner right now, Michelle informed me that Gil has those pickup sticks as well too. You know, little pickup sticks.
Oh.
We don't have those either. They're not here at City Hall right now. And those are given to us by the president, the previous chair, but they are considered city property now. So they're your property, but they're city property because they're given to the board, but the board is the city. So those pickup sticks should be brought back to the city. So we contacted Gil today. I told Michelle I didn't know about this. Let him know. Bring it all back. And if he's got the banner, bring that back.
He
but
has a banner.
we have not found the banner.
Maybe.
Gil said he didn't have the banner.
No.
Yeah. Okay. Rose had it and she returned it
After Earth Day.
after Earth Day.
I suggest that if we don't find it, obviously, this month, then we better have another one done.
It could easily be done. We still have the process through Total Prints who created it, the same process. My suggestion would be, and I always suggested in the previous chairs, on something like that, maybe one person of the NRB takes ownership. As much as leaving it here at City Hall, it get misplaced. We had in the office, those new people, new directors, new staff. Things happen, and somehow it could have got. I hate to say, maybe it got tossed with the garbage. It could have happened. I don't know. I'm not stationed down here anymore. I'm upstairs, and because of that, it could have been, in that process, misplaced or tossed. I think the better way would be to have, it's just a tube. Maybe one person take ownership, and that way we know for sure where it is. That's just a suggestion.
The only thing we have in there now is the box that has the flags and a few things for Earth Day, and the small banner that's maybe 1 foot wide.
Yeah, there was another box that had, I think you took it, that had all the other, there was another box that had a whole bunch of other, like, kids stuff in it.
I have
you
that.
took that
Like,
one,
I
okay.
went through it to see what was exactly in those boxes, threw out all the dried up paints. There's really not a lot in there. It's a few craft things. And like some bottles of paint that we can use to paint birdhouses or whatever project we just.
I agree with you. Most of that stuff is so old, it's not really.
Yeah.
I think the most valuable item right now is really just that banner.
Yeah, it's a lot. To be honest with you, 90% of what was in those boxes I bought when I was on the board the last time when we did all the craft tables with the kids. You know.
That's really old.
Well, yeah, it's really old. Thanks, Rose. But, like the glue sticks, the glitter sticks, those are all dried out. But I figured I'd go through it and see what we had, so if we decide to do another craft table, but there's still stuff to work with.
So would you like us to pick up the box that's in there now?
I think the box is okay. I think in the future, from this point on, if you have any new...
Something that we can't be without.
Well, any new special projects, I think it's better to have ownership with one of your commissioners than to try to leave it here at City Hall. I just, because of this incident here, I hate to happen again. I hate to, buy another banner, store it here, and it just disappears again because there's no ownership. When you have someone who has ownership on it, you know where it is, and then we could count on that person to make sure it's taken care of. That's just my gut feeling right now, because since we did lose it was a nice banner too. I remember it was a really nice banner.
Yeah, it was a nice banner.
Yeah.
I'm thinking with it being in the original tube, it fits tight around the outside. Someone could have looked in it and just thought it was an empty tube, and
that's what it probably was. Maybe the janitor opened it up, you couldn't see it, and just tossed it away because it's an empty tube. It could have happened. I can't say because I don't know what happened to it. We just don't have it now.
But you have our tent, where our tent is?
Yeah, the tent's upstairs.
Okay. All right. But I would like to go down the list and ask, what did you think about, our mission goals and objectives?
Well, I think I stated it the last time. I think getting more involved in cleaning the islands like we used to. We probably won't be able to adopt one. They've all been adopted unless something does open up, and then we get approval from the city manager to do it. And I think what I said about having guest speakers, and maybe Frank had talked about maybe for those meetings we can be televised, so we can do an educational program. Like the night we had the county here to discuss the sewers and septic systems, and that would have been a great thing to have videotaped. So we would have that. It would be playing for the whole month.
Here to answer that question, I did talk to the city manager. If you do have a speaker of like what you're talking about, we will televise it then. Good. And then we'll play it back on the channel.
So we can start doing that. We can get people to come in and talk and make all the arrangements to have it done. And I think that's very important, because I think we don't have any authority to make really big decisions, but we can educate people. I think that's our strongest suit. We've got the flyers, we've got different things, but and Earth Day too is a big educational opportunity for us. So I think that's important.
He asked one thing though, that we put it first on the agenda. So if we're going to have a presentation, it's the first thing we do right after.
Yes. It's usually the first we in the past, previously, all we did was like a 15, 20-minute talk, and then we opened it up for questions.
Yeah.
Because anything longer than that, people lose sight of what they're talking about, and it gets boring, so.
Okay.
But that's what we did. That's how we opened our meetings.
Have any idea of any people you would like to invite to talk to us?
Well, I think it'd be if we get the county back again, if we're going to tape it this time, I think that would be a great presentation to let them know what exactly the type of sewer systems and how people can care for their septic systems. I think that's a huge educational thing. I mean.
Okay, you're going to have to ask him. We had a conversation at the
no problem.
At the county meeting.
But I also.
Poor Tom, I yelled at him there too.
And I
to help the chair out, Vincent Burke was a person who spoke. He's the director of utilities. He was here actually at the last city council meeting and gave a kind of like a smaller version of the same presentation. Mm-hmm. So he's given that presentation out twice here. So maybe it'd be
wait a while.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. We can also talk to maybe get the company in that's doing all the spraying in the canals and talk to them about their steps and another educational thing, because people are very concerned about that.
Who is that? For the canals?
Who is it? All right?
No, our contract is with Applied Aquatics.
Applied Aquatics.
But they're no different than any other service maintenance. Their contract is to go out and spray the canal systems. That's under our contract, which is under the actual, we're piggybacking off of the Florida Fish and Wildlife contract. Most of those contracts, they're private enterprise they don't have a spokesperson. Mm-hmm. If they did, it's not like government where they're trying to market something. Their marketing is a business. They spray, they go. We'll be happy to ask them, but they may say we don't have a spokesperson because that's not on our field to provide presentations. This one is because they're just a private company.
Yes, I understand, and I know they also do. I have friends that live in Ashbury, and they They also treat all their retention ponds in Ashbury. I could make the wild assumption they do it in a lot of the other communities.
My suggestion would be go higher, since they're being farmed out by one of the regulatory agencies, have the regulatory agencies give a presentation. It's under their umbrella, so why go to the person who's doing the work when it should be the actual regulatory agencies that's signing the contracts? They should be the one that says, here's why we do this, here's the regulatory issues, here are our requirements, and I think that'll be more appropriate to have one of those persons than the actual contractor. That's just throwing it out there.
And who would that be? Would that be St. John's
It could either
Water
be St.
Authority?
Applied Aquatic is right now under our contract with Fish and Wildlife, but they have the same contract with the St. John's River Water Management District. They have the same contract with the South Florida Water Management District. They have the same contract with the Florida Department of DEP. So any one of those departments,
Okay.
if they're willing to talk to one of those and they're willing to come here and provide some sort of a educational why we spray our canal systems, I think that's more appropriate in this kind of format.
Nope, that's great, Frank.
Can you help us find somebody?
I'll get you some contact names. How's that?
Yes.
Sounds great.
Ann, do you?
I'll do it.
You're so sweet. Thank you.
I'll do it.
And I'll email you some contact people that I know. It may not be the person, but they're high enough within the agencies that you could they'll point you in the right direction.
Right, that's what I was just gonna say. They'll tell me who I should need to speak with. And it's not gonna be probably till February anyways, because the holidays and.
Yes, and all we have to do is give Barbara notice.
Right.
Let Barbara know and she will set it up.
Just maybe just make sure this is correct. If you want to do something like this, maybe put it on the next agenda, approve it, so that's all you guys all voted on it, and that way it gives us and everybody a chance. The city manager to say yes, go ahead and tape it, Barbara. So we're all good and ready. So that way it gives us lead time.
No, that sounds good.
All right.
So we want that added on next month's agenda.
Okay. Yeah, that would be good. Rose, anything?
The pepper trees, I don't know what the answer is. I know we can't do it physically, but I think the pepper trees in our city are out of control. Whether it be on the city property along the waterfront or just vacant lots that people are just sitting on and not cleaning. Right now, they're just hanging with seeds, and as I stated last month, when FP&L came through and cleaned their 10-feet stretch, the next stretch that goes over the front of the properties, it just like all the trees fell, and in my neighborhood, they're literally hanging in the street now. Across the 10-foot clean area, they're hanging in the street. So the seeds are just loaded, and I wish there was an answer, or people that own those properties could be made responsible for cleaning them up. A pet peeve of mine, which I like to see change, is going to restaurants and everybody gives out straws and styrofoam containers. It's like, I wish they could use cardboard containers, or we just shouldn't take home leftovers. And people along the water that just give straws, I say, no, I don't want one, and they still put it on the table. So they're still going to throw it away because it's on the table, and just, we need to be smarter about our waterfront. If you kayak out there or anything, there's always plastic in the water. And then spraying the invasives in the waterways, I wish we could get a little bit farther on that and see what we can do to help out on that. We've talked about it for a year, but it's not going anywhere.
Can, the pepper trees, especially if they're hanging in the street, can the city trim? Are we allowed to trim?
A little history behind most of these areas that we have overgrown vegetation, mainly the pepper trees. And I'm fully aware of this because we just finished this huge debris removal.
Yeah, I imagine.
And in this process, there's several areas that had humongous pepper trees. I mean, literally blocked the road. Literally, we couldn't even use chainsaws. We had to bring a big loader and just tear it apart, because it was just blocking the roads. The problem is they're mainly on these vacant lots. Most people who have within their own personal properties, before it gets that large, they trim them, they take care of it. It's these vacant lots. When you have vacant lots, there's an area where we maintain our public right of ways, but if the pepper tree is on the private property and then the big wind comes and now it's in our right of way. It's still on private property, and so that's where the dilemma comes in. We have code enforcement. They go out there, they cite the vacant property, but the vacant property person, they don't want to say anything. Maybe lives in California, and says, "I'm not touching it." And so it sits there and sits there and sits there. Eventually, what we do is we go out there, we chop it, our public works crews, and then we just lien the property. But in that whole process of months, year, pepper tree gets to be tremendous size, and because of that, when we did our debris stuff, we had huge pepper trees that took 4 or 5 trucks to get it out of there. And it was a huge cost to the city. So I agree with you in that there needs to be some process, but the process we have, there's a legal issue because they're on private property, and you can't be going onto private property. That's where the gray area comes in. On the public area, it's not a problem. This is when it comes to private property and these vacant lots. How do we deal with that? Understanding the concept that we want to reduce the peppers, but it's on people's property. Private property. That's the concern. That's the overall problem that we have here. Until such time it blows into the city right away, we can deal with it. But you could drive any vacant lot, you could see them growing like large pepper trees.
If the board decides to do something, can we ask our city attorney? The board would like to go out as a whole board to take down some pepper trees on private property. What would the city attorney tell us?
It's private property.
It's private property, but can we still do it? Can we say to our neighbors, hey, we would like to come? Can you?
As long as the property owner gives you authority,
that's what we would have to do. We would have to get the private person to give us authority to go on their land. Is that what we would have to do?
Yeah, because you'd be trespassing if you went on private property. So it's not an issue that, it's not easily done.
So if we go up to these people and we say, you have a pepper tree and we would like to take it down, would you please sign for us to take it down?
But the problem is they have a whole lot of pepper trees.
Oh, yeah, the whole lot.
It's not just one pepper tree per lot.
And the issue would be, if the person really did care about his property, they would be maintaining it. The issue regarding going on to private property, there's several folks. I'm a farmer, so a good example is, we had lots of pear orchards, and we couldn't pick them sometimes, so we thought maybe we'd just let the people come on our property. Right off the bat, our hate to say it, our attorney says, now you open yourself for any kind of lawsuit, because something would happen, the kid would fall, you don't, unless you have a hold harmless and anybody comes on your property, now you're in trouble. So I think the property owner and these pepper trees say the same thing. You're not stepping on my property because if you come on board with a chainsaw and you cut yourself, I'm the one held responsible because you're on private property. So I think majority of the property owners would say no.
Well, we would have to sign that form also that says we will hold none.
I think the majority of those property owners, because they haven't maintained those lots, they're going to say no. It's a headache more to take on that liability and just let my lot grow the way it is. And when one of these days when you want to turn it over, that's when I'll tear out those peppers. But for them, they're just looking at it as a place for future development that they're just holding on to, and they don't care what it looks like, which is a shame. And because they're overgrown with vegetation, and until such time it blows into the city's right of way, and then we got to go out there and chop it away with several trucks, the dilemma occurs, and we keep going over and over the same broken record, and there's not a good fix to it. We've checked with other municipalities; they have the same issue too. You really can't mandate someone because it's on private property.
Is there any kind of ordinance the city could do if, someone's buying a new piece of property? Say that they could clean it up?
That's a whole different story. When you're developing a piece of property, you can set rules and conditions, because you now have to follow certain regulatory issues. If there's a fire issue or a danger, there is, or a life endangerment, if it gets to the point where there's a huge tree leaning against, we've had this too. If the tree starts leaning towards your property, of course there's now an endangerment. The tree may land on someone else's home, so there's an issue that there's a life-threatening issue that has to be taken care of. Those are, above and beyond circumstances. The pepper trees itself is growing massively. It is bad, but there's really not a good fix on how we want to do this. I understand what your passion went on to do is go on and, do a lot of trimming. I think it'd be difficult.
Okay. Anything else? Dick? Oh, you. Okay, I still think, for the islands, we still are doing E7, but what about when we're done with E7? Does it still need more, or should we look for another island also?
Well, IR8, is where we're gonna take
okay.
off the, Australian pine and a Brazilian pepper, and hopefully kill the roots, and we can go back and when they're just little seedlings on that particular island, we will pull the seedlings as they sprout. That's where we're at right now. Once we accomplish that and DEP says, yeah, cool job and all that, then they are open for other projects for that particular island.
Oh,
And they are also open for us doing some other islands that are within the city limits, ongoing, once we've shown that we can follow through, once they follow through. You know, there are other island projects that they would be interested in participating with us on.
okay.
So that's an ongoing, evolving process.
Okay, thank you. And what about help with cleanup? The Pelican Island needs cleanup, right? Do they have cleanup days? Does Pelican Island have cleanup days? Should we try to sign up to, as a board, to help clean up some?
Have somebody here.
It's outside city limits.
Oh, that's okay, we can still go. We can go outside city limits. The only thing, Frank might not be able to pick it up, but if we're outside city limits, my feeling is Pelican Island should have its own pickup, right?
I think you as an individual and as a board can look at outside. I think it's when you start representing more towards the city and using city facilities, that's when we're going to start saying, like, using the public works boat or trying to provide assistance from the city. It's going to be difficult if you're in the unincorporated area. It's just not, you know, our services are within the incorporated area of the city. That's why we're in the city of Sebastian. If you go outside in the unincorporated area, I think the taxpayer will have issues, you know, spending, you know, city dollars in the county or in the unincorporated areas. So you as an individual can take it upon yourself, or you know what I'm saying, but not as a representative of the city.
Okay. All right, they told me all I needed to do was sign that form. If we wanted to go as a board, we could just sign the form of release the city, and then we could go.
And see, once you release the city, you're
want.
fine, yeah. I think once you release the city, you're fine.
Yes, once we sign the form and release the city of any, liability, thank you, we as a board then can go. I don't know if that's something you all.
Well, when I had spoke about cleaning the islands, that was part of it. We participated with CURB, you know, in the big international coastal cleanup. And as far as doing it as a board, if we have it on our agenda as one of the items that we're going to be doing, then they can post it as a meeting, because we are going to be all together doing that one thing if we all do it together. That shouldn't be an issue, and it's going to be within city limits. That's what we did before. And I think, you know, it's a great thing to do.
So, I'd just like to get the feeling from the board. Do you think we should try to participate in cleanups?
I think we have a lot of cleaning to do right here in the city before we go outside of the city.
Yes.
Okay, but what, we're blocked, what are we gonna clean up? Not the pepper trees,
There's
what else
plenty
is
of
there to clean up?
waterfront.
Oh, we have
Plenty of waterfront, all you have to do is walk the waterfront. It's unbelievable how much you could pick up in a day's time.
They had asked us to do that one part of the waterfront, but, when Hurricane Matthew came through and the surge came up, it cleaned it up. So, you know, the plants got cleaned up, but of course there's always debris to clean up.
Yeah, debris, plastic, constantly. You could just walk along the land or the water, and we don't need any kind of organization or anything. We can just do it. But I think we should worry about our city before we go outside the city limits.
Okay. But we are county too. Okay, all right. So, I'd like to get a calendar going now. So in January or February, what do we usually do in January? Does the board usually do anything in January?
When we had the adopted island, we scheduled a cleanup for January, we did that, and then we did other islands, but obviously we don't have that. But as far as,
Well, maybe
anything
we
else?
could
No.
do that in January. Jim, do you think maybe your, will come through for January, so the board in January can decide to do the cleanup on your island? I know, who knows?
You haven't been out to the island,
it's very
not
tiny.
very big, it's a very, very tiny.
Yeah, it's very
lot.
tiny.
It's 2 trees.
All of us
Yeah.
being out there, we would be crowded.
2
Okay.
trees.
And we'd be there 5 minutes.
All right, okay, so, but, all right, but maybe you could bring back and 3 or 4 of you, 3 of you can go.
I like the idea of doing the shoreline would be,
Yep.
that's an all the time, I don't
Okay.
think you can do it enough, probably.
Yep.
Okay, would you like to do the shoreline then in January, you think? Or do you want, is that too soon to do the shoreline in January?
No, because once we get closer to Earth Day, we're gonna be pretty busy, so I would say,
Okay, all right, I've never done that, so tell me, January, we're gonna do the shoreline, that means we meet where? We would meet somewhere and meet at the park?
That'd be fine.
Riverview would be the best, probably.
Meet at, and if it's a board thing, what do I have to do to get January, if we do it as a board?
We gotta decide on a day and a time so Susan can post it.
We have a meeting January 3rd.
Oh, okay, so we could do right after, we can.
Would you like
we
to
could
do it on a Saturday? That following Saturday would be January 7th?
Yep, that would be good.
That'd be good.
Yeah, Chair, maybe to help out, again, you know, you're here, but, this discussion wasn't agendized, so
Okay,
it may be
got
better
it.
to have it agendized, because you're gonna be taking an action on it, and that's where I think you need to have an agendized item, so that way you then
Exactly.
agree and make a
Okay, so we can agendize it on the 3rd, and we can do it the 7th still, right?
Okay.
I think so, and then in addition to that, maybe from a logistics standpoint, maybe ask where those pickup sticks went, bags, others, that kind of stuff, you know. I'll be happy to contact to see if whatever you leave behind as bags, if our public works crews come by and pick it up, so that way you're not hauling off the stuff. And if
I'd
you
be
bring-
willing to contact Curb. They will
just
give us
gonna
plastic
say.
bags and anything we need for that
And
cleanup.
gloves, they'll give us everything, and they'll even give us pickup sticks if we need them.
So from the logistics standpoint, as long as if someone starts taking each one of those positions, then by the next meeting, you'll have all your ducks in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Okay, all right.
So we'll put it on the agenda to speak about it on January 3rd. And I will talk to Curb in the meantime
Okay.
and get bags or whatever we need.
And I do have, a tote bag from all the cleanups that I did, so I may still have a couple bags in there, and I may have gloves. I haven't gone through it in a while, so.
Okay. I think I need a vote on this. I think I need a motion and a vote, right?
You
No?
can't, because it's not agendized.
Pardon?
It's not on the agenda tonight.
So you don't have to.
So
It has to be on the agenda before we can vote on it.
Oh, okay.
yeah, I mean, just make it clean, and that way you can make a motion next meeting when we agendize it, but we'll have the logistics taken care of. I'll check with Public Works, if it's gonna be on the 7th, I'll make sure a crew comes by, and whatever you guys leave behind as bags, they'll pick it up, so there's just not bags laying out
Okay,
there.
that's great.
Okay, thank you.
And we can also decide in what area we're gonna do as well.
And
No.
decide about the banner. Shall
Well,
we?
no, not saying the area that we're gonna pick up, from what point to what point, how much
Right,
we're gonna do.
Okay. All right, that's good. So, we got something for January. What about February? Do you think maybe we could try to get in a speaker for February?
After Frank gives me all the contacts, and we'll go from there, see who I can get. But yeah, I think that would be a good thing.
Okay, okay. All right, well,
Are we going to do any more festivals? Like in March, will we do the Pelican Island Festival? Would we have a booth there, or have we decided against?
Well, I think that's something we need to discuss. I think we need to have a calendar of events of things that we're going to attend now, so we know.
Okay, March,
So it's a
Mar-
one-day event,
that's an all-day event,
one day?
one day, March, Pelican Island. Okay,
Is there a fee to do
do you
that?
know the date on
No, there's not a fee.
Chair,
we would be,
just to help you out on these, action items that you guys are creating, we'll put them on the next agenda. So
I
you'll
think
have,
we
it would be the clean up the beach on the January, February, we'll hopefully have a speaker from one of the regulatory agencies on the, spraying of the waterways. And then March, you're talking about now the Pelican Island Festival, to have it be have a booth there to represent the NRB. So we'll put those on
Yeah.
the agenda.
And but I
okay.
think,
And then April is Earth Day, so.
yeah, but I think we need to look at what the main events that are happening in the city too. You know, we've got the clam bake, we've got 4th of July. Are we gonna participate in all the city events as well and do the Christmas parade? And maybe the 4th of July parade, I don't know. I think that's something that we should put on the agenda to discuss and make up a calendar so we know. So if a meeting gets canceled in June and July 4th arrives, then it's like, okay, are we gonna do it or not do it? So we'll have it all on our calendar, so that way we know what we're doing.
Back to Pelican Island for a minute, the the festival this coming year is going to be on March 18th, and it's their 25th annual Pelican Island Wild.
Well, that should be a good one to attend.
All right, all right.
Okay, we'll need flyers for that.
I don't think we want to do anything in April besides Earth Day.
No, that's gonna take up everything, I think.
And May, do we usually do something in May? Is there a parade in May? Is there anything?
No, there's nothing in
4th
May.
of July would be the next parade.
Yeah, that's the next big city event. Now, when the next big cleanups are for curb and,
3rd week of July.
3rd week of July? So,
Third week in July
July, yeah.
for,
Big one.
but there's nothing saying that we can't do a cleanup in May to continue what we're doing, you know, do something once a month, clean an island, clean the shoreline, clean an island, whatever.
I agree with you, yes.
So I think
we should plan something once a month to do. Okay. May, do we have anything in May?
not that I know of.
Okay, in June, we still need May and June, but we can think about that. And in July is the 4th of July parade,
Mhm.
and then August, in September, and October we usually do.
The summer months, there's usually not too much going on because of the heat.
It's so
Yes.
hot.
I can visualize inside activities though. Maybe we should go visit places. Oh, I guess we can't. Maybe the shrimp person will come talk to us again, because the way he was doing his work was so interesting, and
Oh, the shrimp farm down south there?
in Bellsmere.
Yeah, he
The
was.
way
They
they
were-
recycle their water and everything.
Yeah, their whole system is incredible.
Yeah. Maybe we can invite him.
Yeah, we can do that, I'm sure.
He did once, right?
Yeah, a while ago.
Well,
When I
let's
first-
add the calendar to next month's agenda, and if anybody can come up with ideas for May, June, rather just be our own waterway cleanup or whatever, we'll do something for each month.
Yeah.
Planned ahead of time.
Okay.
So, like the Christmas parade, we know, yes, we're doing it because we didn't have a meeting like we thought we were going to, so everything was kind of up in the air.
Yes, and that happened in October for November. Our October meeting was canceled, and we didn't do the clam bake.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying, I think we need an
Yeah.
agenda. I mean, a calendar of events, so we know what we're committing ourselves to.
Okay.
Um,
But are we meeting people's objectives? I mean, one of my objectives for joining the board was sewer, and I thought I'd be able to help the lagoon, but I don't know if he's gonna come again. We really should have that gentleman come up here again and talk to us about the sewers.
Vincent Burke, the director of the utilities.
Uh-huh.
You guys could ask.
Okay. I'll tell you what, give me his number, I'll call him.
I'll give it to you. I have his phone and email, yes.
Okay, thank you. All right. All right. Now we're up to G, which is the Go for Tortoise Day, April 10th.
Yeah, I talked to Jeanette, well, actually, I emailed Jeanette, and, she's gonna download the proclamation, and she's going to give it to City Council for the March 22nd meeting. And then they will read the proclamation, but I think we should be there. We should be representing the board. And, also, we need to invite mayor and council to opening ceremonies of Earth Day as well, too, so I'm not sure if we do that then, or we do that, or do it in March, or we do it before March. That I don't know. I can ask her that.
Last year, Andrea was the only one that was represented, and she did the opening for us.
Andrea Coy? Yeah, but I think we have to formally ask them to do it, so.
Okay, all right, we can do that. Maybe we should give them a heads up early. Maybe we could ask the mayor to open the ceremony on Earth Day.
I think it's a good idea. Something you should place on the next agenda to make an action item, and that way it's on the records, and the council sees this as well, so they'll see this as,
And they'll know.
this is what your interest is.
Okay.
Okay, well, so that's another item for next month's agenda.
Yeah, and I'll also go on FWC too and download all the specs for making a, Go for Tortoise burrow out of PVC pipes and shade cloth. I think I have a lot of shade cloth upstairs in my garage, so I'll check that out and see, because I think that'll be a hoot, having one of those built for the kids to be able to crawl into and see what it's like. And
We'll have to find some place for them to crawl.
we'll find one. That'll be
Okay.
easy. Well, we can figure that out.
All right. All right, are we past
Public.
Okay, we're up to item number 8, which is public input. So, anybody from the public would like to come? Please tell us your name and your address.
Good evening, Mark Bondi, 997 George. I thank you for the opportunity and for all that you do. If I could, before I give you my presentation, does the city have an ordinance on noxious weeds and trees that are overgrown onto neighboring parcels?
Again, you should address the chair.
Oh, okay. Okay, excuse me. Okay, excuse me, Mr. Honaby. That's what I would try, if I was on this council, I would look into getting an ordinance written, or if there isn't, or to find out if there was written concerning noxious plants.
Okay.
The
Because
city
you'll
does
see-
have an ordinance on the
Yeah.
sides of the properties.
Right.
You can call and it will come out and be inspected, and the property owner is...
But okay, then that answers your questions.
No, not on the front of the property, though, that's hanging over the street. They do the size of the property,
It's
10 feet
encroaching.
in. The person that owns it has a first chance to clean it off. If they don't, then the city will
Right.
hire someone to clean that off. But that's the sides going back of the property. I'm speaking of the front that's hanging.
I don't understand why the front and the rear would have the same rights. We as public,
The
we
rear, I
own
know
that.
the city did years ago, and they got in trouble because they
Okay,
had to go
good.
on property
Okay, good.
to get
Okay.
to the back of
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. One other question, before I get going. What is your sewer brochure that is, locked up in the community development?
It should be, we have some out. Do we have some in our, In the lobby, we're supposed to have
Oh, are
some
they in
in
the
the
lobby?
lobby, and we're supposed to
Yeah,
have some.
Library?
I assume we made copies of the counties that the chair wanted to promote, and I thought they were out in display. I'll make sure they're out in display.
You see, if, that's what I think, your group, it seems as if, and I'm not, you want to be proactive, but for some reason, you're not able to be proactive. And thank you. Okay, what I'm here for today is, I'm representing the Friends of St. Sebastian River and Indian River Neighborhood Association. And over the years, we've been involved with quite a few different issues. And right now, one of the issues that we've been involved with is confronting the city of Sebastian, and that is sewers. So what we've put together a packet for each one of you, and we are going to give the same packet to the city council, and it will be updated monthly, okay? So whatever the city council gets in a week or so may have a little more information than what you have, and then what you get at your next meeting, okay? And what it is, it's just a little bit of overview of septic and the environment. And I'm a resident here for 6 months, and I'm really disappointed that when I come down here after reading the Treasure Coast paper at home all summer long, and there's really very, very little talk, especially in this community, in Indian River County, as to what we are going to do about our lagoon, our portion of the lagoon. I know that Brevard County passed a referendum, and they're going to throw a bunch of money into, and they've got a pretty good idea as to what they're going to do, okay, concerning their problems up there, but it's all one big problem. And so, I'm just gonna give you these packets. I've got a card in there. If you have any questions, get a hold of me, and I'll try and answer them. And if I don't, I know the people to get you the answer. So thank you.
Question for you, since you are on the
Sure.
board of the St. Sebastian River, and that is out of the county, what are you working on for the river? I know you've taken out a lot of invasives, but are you doing anything for the chemicals coming in from the farmlands that are coming into our lagoon?
Let me go back. We have just published an invasive species.
Yes, we helped
We did
you
that
with
for-
it.
Okay, is that the same
Yeah, we printed.
flyer? Okay, we just did that. We're coming out with a letter in January. Tim Glover is putting together a letter. We've had to refine it a few times. And, it's going to include some, articles on the invasive species and the flyer and the sewers, okay? That are affecting the, Sebastian River and the lagoon. And, we haven't touched upon the chemicals. Okay, very good, Rose. We have not touched upon that. But, other than the fertilizer, okay, I do know that we support the water farming. And do you know what the water farming is? Oh, okay. The water farming is gonna be put on the other side of 510. At the head of the St. Clair River, but just east of the high school, maybe a quarter to half a mile. And, that is going to take waters that are coming down off of the agricultural area, and it will hold these waters over a couple of 100 acres, and those waters will be purified as they set and settle and then be released, okay? That's not what, we actually didn't do anything to put it together, but we are aware of it. And, I'm glad you asked the question.
You've done a good job on removing the invasives.
Well, what's gonna happen also, we're going to go out and go door to door along the Sebastian River, starting in Roseland, okay, without going on private property, and talk to the individual homeowners about the removal of the invasive species on their property, okay? We're gonna hand them, our new flyer, okay? And, Jane, you know Jane, I think Jane's involved in it, and, we're gonna get a little personal with the homeowners and show our colors and what we're trying to do within the community. But I thank you for the question, and I'll talk to Tim about that. Thank you. So I'll hand these out.
Okay.
Okay.
Just one, I was at the last, county meeting, and they have decided to join the Lagoon Council.
Right.
And, we did talk sewer at that meeting, and, sewer is really county. I hate to say that, but the city really, sewer is not city. I know you're gonna give us stuff, but it's at the county level.
I understand, but the city, the public, this is the honest to God truth, we need to educate the politicians and the public so that the right decision is made, okay? It's gonna cost money, okay? And if we don't have the grant money, if we don't have the federal money, if we don't have the state money, the money's gonna have to come from somewhere if we're going to attack the lagoon problem as we should, because we're either gonna do it now or we're gonna pay even more later. I don't need to go any further. We just need to educate people that something's gotta be done. And it's gonna cost some money, but we've studied this. Within the Indian River Neighborhood Association, we have some very, very wise people that volunteer. And we have studied this. And we have tried to figure out how we can take what that homeowner or home business owner is going to have to pay up front and try and make that as minimal as possible. Whatever way, whether we have to finance it over 20 years or whatever, okay?
Yeah.
And
I went down
but the citizenship here is gonna make the decision.
Yeah. I went
Okay.
down there and asked them to reduce it.
That's what I want is, I would hope for an informed citizenship, which we are all members of. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And you have one for our recording secretary?
Well, I'm gonna, sure, and I'm gonna make sure, I'll see you next month.
Okay.
I'll see you next month.
And if you have one for Frank, that would be nice.
Mr. Wannabe? Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right. Anybody else from the public would like to speak? Come on up.
Bob Steven, 150 Concha Drive. Sorry I'm late, but I looked on your site and it said 7 o'clock for the meeting. I hope nobody else was relying on this. I hate these things. I meant to stop in City Hall and look on the chart on the wall to get my times right, but my son says I need
It's
to.
always 6 o'clock, then
I know.
the city has, I know, but it's always 6. I'm sorry, it's wrong.
Chair, before your time, the meetings used to start at 7. It did. Yeah.
Okay.
About a year ago, we changed it, but in the past, it was at 7 o'clock.
Maybe if we want to get more people, we gotta do something radical, you know, maybe have a dance once in a while or something, you know,
Okay,
serve
that's right.
refreshments.
Give away
an old-
something. If you give something away, they'll be here.
Possibly, but wave the carrot of clean water over their heads, you know. As far as clean water and information, my neighbor is so right, we need to get educated. I'm far from educated about this stuff, but I am planning on going to 2 Indian River Lagoon Council meetings this week. I don't know whether you all know about both meetings. There's one Thursday and one Friday. The Friday meeting is right here. We never have representation from the city here. And these are scientists and biologists and politicians from all over the state that show up here. And there's a 3 or 4 hour meeting here. The other meeting is, it's in Grant, up the creek without a paddle, or one of those places. There's a management meeting for the IRL Council, which is an active group that's gonna actually do things. I think we need to get involved. I think the city needs to at least sit in on these meetings and see what they're doing. Because there's a lot of money being thrown around, and we should be up on top of it. You know, we're right in the middle of this mess. I think we should be part of it. I'm not going to bring up any more of the glyphosate situation because Mr. Cox has that organized, and he's going to give you a formal proposal next month, and we'll go over that. But we have not gone to sleep on that issue. So, but thank you all for being here. This is really good. This is a good start. 2 meetings this week. Anybody's interested. Maybe we need to recommend to the city that somebody from the city shows up. Richard Gilmore was very active, and that's why at the end, he was so adamant about not doing certain things to our waterways, you know. But I think somebody else needs to replace him so we can educate the rest of the city individuals. Thanks a lot.
Okay,
Yeah.
remember you were talking about the chemicals, and I said I didn't, we went back and April has that list in it. So I went back and checked, and April's meeting has all those chemicals listed for public record. So, because remember I said I didn't know if it was in there or not? It is, it's in April's meeting.
That's what Mr. Cox gave you all.
Yep. The list of all the,
That was the original MSDS sheets that we were able to acquire from Applied Aquatics. And since then, they're not talking to us. But I don't know what the deal is with that. I was told that they were told not to talk to us anymore, but I don't know what that involves, you know. I was waiting for Mr. Cox to go a little further. I'm going to help him do whatever he says, and I'm trying to stay close to the other meetings in town. They're trying to do things, and if you guys ever need any help, you know, I'm more than willing to put some time into it. And we got to look outside the box and figure this out. This has never happened to us here. We've got to figure out what to do.
Yeah.
Try to get our waters back. So whatever we can do, little things is my mind. We can't put sewers in tomorrow, but we can do some small things.
Called baby steps.
That's right. And if you can do that and not spend any money doing it especially, that's big, you know? Any other questions? Thanks.
anybody else from the public would like to speak? I don't see anybody. We're going to new business, and we have the NRB banner down as new business. Are we going to get a new one? The NRB banner?
I think it's up to you as the chair and the board. My suggestion would be to go purchase another one, since, trying to find the current one, you'll get to the point where the next event's gonna happen,
Yep,
and you're
you
gonna
won't have
be,
it.
again, in the same situation, so just go purchase
And-
another banner.
And
Was it printed locally, or did we get it from Vistaprint?
I thought it was done through Total Prints. I'll
I
check
think
with,
it was done through Total
yeah,
Print.
because I know Barbara did remember Barbara created the template, and I know she was going through Total Prints, and I'm not sure who created that material, but I thought it came from Total Prints. And if that's the case, they should have everything there, just,
Print it again.
yeah, print it again.
Okay, all right.
You do have sufficient funds, because, you have the new budget, and this is all considered marketing, so I think it's a legitimate cause to purchase another banner.
Right.
We have not spent any money out of that budget. Rose, do you still think we need lights for it? Should we get lights?
I wouldn't address that at this time. That was just for the Christmas
That was
parade.
just for Christmas, you know.
Okay,
Last year was so dark, you couldn't see the banner.
okay, all right.
And then we had green shirts on, so we were dark. But no, I
So we
wouldn't at
could
this
use the
time.
banner for our next event that we will be going to, which is Pelican Island
In March.
in March. We would definitely want it for that.
I'll make a motion to, purchase a new banner.
Yep, I'll second that.
Second, all right. Do I need to take a vote? Roll call, it's money. Please
yeah.
do roll call.
Yeah.
Ms. Ring,
Yes.
Ms. Glazier,
Yes.
Mr. Clifton,
Yes?
Ms. Lucier,
Yes.
Mr. Crawl,
Yes.
Mr. Wiragoda.
Yes.
It passes. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Frank, who takes care of that now, me or you?
I'll get you all the contacts, but typically, I think I'm not sure if George did it last time, but someone took it upon themselves to
I think
contact.
Gil did it last
Or
time.
Gil did it, yeah.
No, I think Gil did it last time. I think he did.
You want me to do it?
I would say, yeah, that would be a good thing.
You'll do it, you
No, I said you.
said? You, okay, I'll do it.
I'll get you all the contact information from Total Prints,
Okay,
from
all
Barbara.
right.
So I
That'll
think
be good.
typically just maybe a phone call and then doing a proof check to make sure
Yeah.
before they print it, that's what you want.
Okay, all right, I can do that.
No, but now you're gonna have to, will she have to get our approval, or can she just approve it herself? Does she need us to approve it?
I
It'll
think
be
the
another
approval,
month.
you're going to create the same banner, correct?
Yeah,
So I think you're in this concept that it's the same banner, so it's basically just purchasing the same banner again. Yeah, I think the proof is just to make sure that you'd be surprised.
Yeah,
Just
I know.
make sure you're going to spend that much money, just proof it.
okay, all right, I'll
I
try
was
to
in
prove
that
it.
business, I know. It's amazing.
All right. And we talked about televising the board meeting, right? And does that need to be,
That's gonna be on the agenda for next year.
we just need that information, right? Televising the board meeting if we get
I'm going to pass
We
on
get
some
a
contacts to Ann, and then we're going to place it on the next agenda, so hopefully we'll have it agendized as an action item.
Okay, all right. Okay. We're up to staff matters,
I have nothing tonight.
okay? None? Okay, member matters. Ann,
No, nothing.
Rose?
I'm looking, I don't know what this gentleman just had for his schedule that said was it Bob Stevens said that it was at 7 o'clock tonight? On the city site, under the Natural Resources Board, that says the next meeting will be held on December 6th, and you hit the link, and right at the top of our agenda, it says starting at 6 o'clock. And on the city link where it says all of the meetings, it also says 6 o'clock. So we need to get it corrected, whatever he's talking about.
Yeah, I just know a couple of years ago when I first started, maybe 3 years ago, this board meeting was at 7 o'clock.
Was 7.
It was 7 o'clock,
So we need
because
to
it was
get that
awfully late.
corrected.
Ann knows.
I remember. We wouldn't leave till 9:30. I remember.
Oh. All right.
There's an old notice that says 7 o'clock.
So Margarita would be the person to
I'm gonna check with Barbara. More likely, it's someplace on the website, someplace on our city's website that has a date that's incorrect. I'll check with Barbara, and we'll try to find where that is and change it to 6 o'clock.
Okay. None? None? Okay. Just one quick thing. For people who had been on the board before, I got this from Jeanette, and I don't know if you all got it. I think she may emailed it to you, but this is this comment, from Denise Morrell. She's, a teacher, and I think she's from Texas. But they, are doing a program that has to do with earthworms and composting, and she has come to our site, and she loves it. So the people who put up the site, it happened before I came on board.
Yeah, it's been probably
So,
4.5 years.
and she's very passionate, she says, about the environment, and they're starting about a composting program at the school, and she was wondering if we had any more information to give them, to share with them. She says the kids, composting in a small space, and then they wanted to know if we had any resources. But she,
Online, there's a wealth of.
well, okay, now she is a teacher, and she is looking for a safe site. All those sites are not safe. That's why she comes to the city, she says, because it's a safe site. And she knows when the kids are in our site, they're not going to get any or do anything, It's a safe site.
It was composting and what else?
That was it.
Composting?
Yeah, composting and,
I'll see what I can find.
okay, and, all right. And I'm thinking that is it. So, if there's no nothing further, I will adjourn the meeting. Thank you. No.
I left home at 7:30 this morning.